Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks.
Everybody, and
Come and
welcome
talk
to
to
the
me,
Majestic
to
Talk Show.
me.
I'm your host, Latasha Morgan, certified professional and Christian life coach. We also have a number here that you can call in, ask your questions, and that phone number is 864-445-2616. Again, that number is 864-445-2616. Now, today we're going to give a recap on what we talked about last month as it relates to your purpose and how important it is to get to your purpose, to fulfill your purpose. We also discussed those things that may keep us from reaching our purpose, whether it's you're afraid or you believe that you're unable and unqualified to do something. So we're going to recap on that, and we're going to go on to the next part of it. Because what I want to do is this. I believe that unless you cannot go any further, unless you remove the things up by the root that's hindering you from moving forward. Okay. So why do you feel that way? And where do those hang-ups and hiccups come from? It comes from what your experiences were before, and it hinders your worldview. Because when you experience things in your younger years or any time in your life, it changes your perception of people. It changes your perception of yourself. And whatever somebody has said to you or made you feel becomes a part of your life. It doesn't mean what you feel or think is true. It's just how you see things because of what has happened to you. So let's look at that. If you look at Moses, we talked about Moses last time and how he said to God, when God said, Moses, I want you to go and I want you to bring the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt. His response was, God, look, I don't quite know if I can do this. Look, I stutter and stuff. Man, you're going to have to get somebody else. And God was like, excuse me, I'm not God. I'm God, right? So I already know what you think you can do. I already know your mouth. I know that you stutter. That isn't the point. The point is what's in you is what I'm going to use to bring my people and set them free. You never know what God is calling you to do. You never know what it's going to do later for someone else. It's going to be something that's going to break and tear down walls in their lives, something that's going to deliver them and make them free and no longer be a slave to those things that bound them and hinder them. But in order for you to do that, you got to get free yourself. What has been planted in you that has shifted your view and distorted your view of yourself? And not only yourself, but God as well. Because didn't Moses know that God was God and he can do anything regardless of what his handicaps were? He could do anything, right? So when you say you can't do anything, well, maybe I'm not worthy of this. I don't feel like I'm capable. What is this? What are they going to say? What are they going to find? If people know my name, maybe those things that are in me, it may come out, and God, I might embarrass you. Look, I really don't want to embarrass you. So let me just hide my gifts in this saying here. Let me just hide so nobody will ever see me. And then I don't have to worry about being in front of anybody. I don't have to worry about how I look. I don't have to worry about where I'm going. I don't have to worry about anything. But when you're stuck somewhere, you die there. Moses was in the desert leading the sheep. And God spoke to him in a burning bush. Who's ever seen that, right? So he would think God knew what he was talking about. If he can make a bush be on fire, yet it didn't burn up. So with all of that, how did Moses get to the place where he had no confidence in himself or in the abilities that were in him? Because let's recall now, he was in the Pharaoh's palace. He was raised up there. Once he was weaned from his mother, after his mother finished weaning him, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he lived there. So if you're in the king's palace, shouldn't you have confidence? You should already know what you could do, because they're going to teach you. They're going to train you in certain things, because you're going to have to fulfill certain positions in the palace. So what happened to him that made him feel as if he wasn't worthy, or if he couldn't do what God called him to do? Let's see his life. He was taken from his mother, hid him 3 months, right? That was to spare his life, because she saw that he was something good. She knew that he was going to do something great, regardless of whether she knew what it was or not. She knew that he was prepared for something great. That happened. Pharaoh's daughter saw him in the flanks of the Nile, right? She rescued him and said, "Oh, this is one of the Hebrew children." Well, his sister was watching him. So she asked if she needed to bring someone else to take care of the child, to wean the child, so that the child could be fed by the mother. So his mother did that. So while he was still in his mother's house, children are not weaned in the Egyptian culture in the biblical times, and they are not weaned from their mothers in the Jewish culture in the biblical times until they're around 3 to 9. So during that time, he had to know already that he was a Hebrew, right? She would have taught him all of that information. He would have known who God was, because that's some of the first things they teach you. He would have known all of that. So after he grows up, he goes out walking one day, and he sees an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. He helps the Hebrew by killing the Egyptian. The next day, he sees his fellow Hebrews fighting, and he says to them, "Why are you fighting each other?" They said, "Who are you? Are you going to kill us like you did the Egyptian?" That's where his problem came from. Because then everybody knew that he had killed somebody, because Pharaoh found out that he was going to kill him. So he ran because he was shameful. And that's the reason he felt as if he could not go before Pharaoh. Hey, they ain't going to listen to me. Why? Because they didn't listen to me before. They didn't listen to me when I said don't fight each other. So do you really think, God, that they're going to listen to me now? Do you see me? I'm not that prince in the palace anymore. I'm out here taking care of somebody's sheep, and I'm a whole lot older than I was then. See, don't those excuses sound real familiar? God, I'm not worthy. So what God does, he said, okay, I'm going to fix this problem. I'm going to let Aaron speak for you because I know he's a great speaker. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the title that I have, God to Pharaoh. And Aaron is going to be your prophet. So what did God do there? Moses had an excuse that wasn't justifiable because his past made him shift his view of who he was. He was strong and confident before, but because of situation and circumstances in his past, he changed his view. A lot of us have situations in our lives, and we change the way we think about ourselves. Somebody says we're done. We start, after hearing it so long, you start saying it too. And you start feeling that. And whatever comes out your mouth, your body responds to. So if you say I'm done, guess what? You're going to stay. You're going to be that. If you change what you say, because Moses, after a while, he had no problem doing what God told him to do. Aaron spoke for a time, then Moses rose up and he began to do what God said do. He ended up speaking to Pharaoh as if he knew his full authority and had confidence in himself. Even though he was no longer living in the palace, he had a palace mindset. So, what I'm saying to you today is stop allowing things to change your view. You feel like you're not worthy because either someone said it to you, you've heard it so many times that you begin to conform your mind to that. If you change your view, you never get to where God called you to get to. What about he put himself inside of you? So how can you not be capable? It's just like being like having a house. You put everything you want in there and you make sure everything you like is the way you want it to look. It's where you want it to be. You're surrounded with the right stuff. You're a house to God. He wants you to make sure that there's nothing in your environment, in your way, that's going to hinder you from doing what he called you to do. What are those things in your life that you've been saying to yourself came from circumstances and situation you had? Pluck it up. Get rid of it so that it's no longer there and you don't have to worry about it coming back again. Because if you have a house, you have to make sure that you do nothing to destroy your foundation. What should be removed, remove it. Because it shouldn't be a part of you anyway. You are great. You are worthy. You are worth the time. You're worth the effort. And God has so many great things in store for you. But I understand what you're going through because I did the same thing. I understand. I said I was dumb too because somebody else said it. I said people called me Moon when I was a child too. And I was, yeah, you this, you that. And I began to believe that. I believed and I don't know how I believed I was dumb because, but because somebody said it to me so many times, I began to believe that. I began to believe I was lazy because somebody said it so many times. Not my parents, of course, which is why I understand I believed it because they always encouraged me to think big, to do great things. And there's nothing I can't do. I want you to keep that in your mind and in your head. Every time you're getting ready to do what God called you to do, whenever it comes to you and there's a thought in your mind that says you cannot, say I can. If you go to Matthew 4 and you see Jesus in the wilderness, everything Satan told him to do, he had a response. And it was, it is written. when he said, I give all these things to you. Man doesn't. No, everything belongs to God. I already have all of that. When he says, girl, you know good and well, those people going to think you crazy. No, because I'm in my right mind. And I know that God told me this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. So guess what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put all my effort along with God into what God has called me to do. And if I don't do that, then I miss out on seeing what God wanted to do. And I think the trouble with a lot of us is because we don't know the beginning, the middle, and the end. We don't think it can happen because we can't see it, because we can't control it. Here's the thing. God doesn't need you to know every single detail. Why? Because he's the one that crafted the plan. He did the blueprint, which is you. He knows what the plans are. He knows what's going to happen during the midst of that. But it should never stop you from moving forward. He knows all things. He's already walked through it. So that means you should have confidence enough in what God has said to you and said you're put on this earth to do, that you can do it knowing that God is with you. He has called you and there is nothing you cannot do as long as it's through Christ. So we have a few minutes left, people. If you want to call in that good with any questions or any responses, you can call 864-445-2616. Again, that number is 864-445-2616, or you can leave your comments and questions in the section on the Facebook page. Are there any comments, anything? Okay. And while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions or want to call in, I want to talk to you about, and this is why these things are so important. These things everybody should know so that we could be the army of God that God has called us to be. Majestic Talks is going to be partnering with Pathway to Promise. And what we do with Pathway to Promise is to make sure that all Black churches, Asian, Mexican people have a wellness program in their church so that these things like we've talked about today, last time, and any other issues, whether mental health issues or otherwise, you have someone in your church that you can go talk to. And we make sure that we teach and train people to be wellness providers. Okay. So if you or anyone at your church would like to be a part of that, every church, we want everybody in the church. And my goal in South Carolina is to make sure that everyone has one in their church. Because not only will it be just a good idea, but it will strengthen every person in the church. Because if you're broken, you can't go to war. Soldiers that are hurt and maimed, they don't go to war. They stay at home. So that you can be healed and whole like God wants you to be. And so your church can help those, and you can recognize everything that's going on in your church when people need assistance, when people need help, suicide. So we won't have people still dying of suicide in church. So you never know what's going on in the lives of people. You go to church with them every day, you see them every day, but all the times you go to church, but you never know what's going on in their lives. So that's why this is needful. So people that are suffering through grief, people that are suffering through depression, people that are suffering through any kind of mental illness, divorces. So you'll recognize people that are coming into the church and they have ulterior motives. All of those things can be done. But you join Pathway to Promise. And we'll have a survey going out as well so that people can take the survey. They can take the survey so we'll know what is needed in the church and what you think about mental health and what you know about mental health. And also, would you like to be a part of learning and being a part of the wellness program with Pathway to Promise? So if you don't have any questions, we're going to get out of here. Any comments. But if you need any further assistance with the information we talked about and any other coaching in grief, premarital coaching, general coaching, self-development, and growth, you can contact us, the business, at Majestic Talks LLC, 864-396-8485. You can also get to us on www.majestictalks.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. Okay, we're also on LinkedIn, YouTube, so you can get in touch with us. Again, that number is 864-396-8485. This show airs every fourth Thursday on the War Rap radio station at 6 o'clock, a 30-minute show every fourth Thursday. And you can call in to 864-445-2616 anytime during that show. Also, you can leave comments in the section on my page. You can also leave your ideas for the show and anything you want to talk about. Anything, I'm there and available for you. So you can get in touch with us then. And thank you so much for coming and being a part of the show. Do you have any comments or anything? Okay. So, for next time, just so to help you find out a few things about who you are, for next time, here's a suggestion I want to give you. Look up what your name means. Dissect it. Because you may be listening to me and saying, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. So really, I really don't know what to do to find out. But that's what you start with. That's what I started with. Knowing what my name means, the first, the middle, and the last. And dissecting that till there was nothing left. Look at the good and the bad connotation of your name. Because that means God gives us a choice in everything we do. Everything we see, there's always a way you can go left or you can go right. You can do good or you can do bad. So look up that. And let's talk about that next time on the show, next fourth Thursday. Okay? We have 7 minutes left on the show. So if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, anything about this show today, you can go ahead and we'll give you a few minutes to wait to see. All right. If not, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm your host, Latasha Morgan. This has been the Majestic Talk Show on War Rap Radio. Thank you so much, and y'all have a good night.
Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic Talks. Come and talk to me,